Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Butch Shorak. It's Market Forecast from Options University. It's Monday, November 11th, 2013, and welcome on this Veterans Day to Market Forecast. Access to this video is for educational, informational purposes only. Nothing contained in this video, website, or promotional material constitutes a promotion, recommendation, solicitation, or offer of any particular investment security or transaction. Options University does provide educational services that are meant to teach you the risks and rewards of trading stocks and options, and we're not a service that tells you what to trade. We're not implying or guaranteeing any profit, and as always, do not trade with money that you cannot afford to lose. Taking a look at the last week, we see that we end up with positive numbers on everything except for the NASDAQ. Looking at the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, the Russell 2000 respectively, we see the Dow up 0.9% for the week, almost 1%. NASDAQ was very close to being flat as we saw some weakness in the tech sector, and the S&P 500 up 0.5% as we had a bit of a roller coaster week, and the Russell 2000 up 0.4%. But look at these lofty yearly returns. Looking at the Dow up 20%, NASDAQ up almost 30% at 29.8, S&P 500 up 24.1%, and the Russell 2000 up 29.5%. We see the NASDAQ after that last move showing us the biggest returns for the year. Is the market getting a little frothy up here? Time will answer that. Of course, what has caused all this to happen? When we look at the Fed and we see that the money that has been injected into the economy on a weekly basis. Looking at the week that is to come, what kind of an economic announcements do we have? Well, Monday, November 11th is Veterans Day, and you see we have absolutely nothing of interest happening economically. Looking at Tuesday, November 12th, again, we have very little happening, so the beginning of the week will be very slow as far as economic announcements. Wednesday follows in the same note, with very little actually taking place. So what will drive the market during this week? Well, it isn't going to be economic announcements, but could we expect new highs this week as we are precariously close to our previous highs? One might think so as the bull market continues. Thursday, November 14th, we do finally have some news. We've got jobless claims taking place at 8:30, international trade, productivity, and costs at 8:30. Last week's jobless claims showed a slight increase in unemployment, but we also showed an increase in jobs. On Friday, November 15th, Empire State Manufacturing Survey, import and export prices taking place before the market opens, and finally, wholesale trade at 10 o'clock. Not a big week as far as economic announcements are concerned for the coming week. Looking at the SPX for the week, a bit of a roller coaster ride, but basically when it's all said and done, we ended up basically a little flat looking at the SPX. We see that we have been in this consolidation phase as we are still very near all-time highs. Could we expect a break above this coming week? Most likely, unless we hear some kind of news out of the Fed when Bernanke speaks at 7 o'clock, I believe, on Tuesday night. But, you know, the Fed's not real quick to come up with any big announcement that's going to overall affect the market. Looking at the week, we saw that on Thursday we had that big down day, and then Friday we bounced right back up, showing the underlying bullishness that takes place within this market. Closing the week at 1770.61, and we see us very near that previous high, which took place about 2 weeks ago. Look for and expect breakout, and that will give you opportunities for these stocks that run and these that have strong relative strength compared to the overall market. Those are the ones that are going to run, which is why we look each and every week at our gold stocks to watch. Next, let's take a look at the Dow and see what it did, as it was the leader for the week, up 0.9% for the week, and we see that we started the week down there and we worked our way up. Notice that the Dow has had a bit of a problem breaking out from this previous high. We've got a triple top taking place here. Next week is crucial whether we're going to see a breakout. A bit away from that 30 and 50-day moving average, and the Dow basically has spent the summer in this what we might call cycle of up and down. So if we see a breakdown, we could see it come back down to this 200-day moving average. But that's not what generally happens during the cycle as we come into October, November, December. We've been the best 6 months of the market. So we can expect that we may see a breakout here. Watch these highs carefully, as it will be your next indication whether we're headed up. Much of it will depend upon what the Fed does as far as whether they begin tapering or not. That will have an effect on the market. Is tapering expected? Yes. The question is when. All right, now let's take a look at the NASDAQ, which came back down to that 30-day moving average this week. Has been in a trend upwards. There's been simply no suggestion of anything else, and it has been on a tear as we see it leader for the year as it is working its way up towards its previous highs. We used to hear NASDAQ talk of 10,000. Well, I don't know if we're going to see that, but if that doesn't step in one of these days and start a little bit of tapering, this thing could head towards that previous high of 5,000, as we've got 4,000 sitting right up there, which will provide a natural boundary of whole number boundaries. All right, looking at the Russell 2000, we see that it had the bigger pullback, but it's sitting right on support on that 50-day moving average and bounced up, providing us an opportunity. Look for a higher high this week and see if we can bounce higher. Remember, the banks are not open, and a lot of the economic news is not going to take place on Monday, on Veterans Day. We'll see how much of a bump we get the first couple days of this week, just on market fundamentals rather than looking at news doing it. Looking at the VIX, of course, there we are back around that 13 number where we spend the majority of our time, and so we see that not much volatility in the market, not much fear in the market, and we're not seeing real high premiums as far as our option market. And that's what happens when we see the VIX come down. But for those of you that understand and how to use techniques to take advantage of this volatility in the market, those potentials are certainly there. Looking at bonds, we see we've been on a steady downtrend on the bonds for the last 6 months, and then we kind of consolidated during the summer, but not showing any strength. 3-week low took place on Friday as fear of tapering certainly had an effect on the bond market. Not only did it affect the bond market, the other thing that it affected was the gold market, as we see the gold headed towards its previous support level down here, and we'll see if that drops down below. Down 25% in the last year, as gold not anywhere near its previous highs. Again, tapering has an effect on, or the threat of tapering has an effect on the gold market. All right, looking at the SPY with volume, what kind of volume did we have? Well, we had big volume going down, and now we had big volume headed right back up almost to its previous high. We'll see whether we get that breakout this week expected in the SPY. Watch for the carefully, because expectations mean nothing. You must trade what you see, not what you think. Financials, of course, jumped right off that 30-day moving average as they have tapered off a little bit, and we see them headed back up towards the previous highs that we had at about 21. Financials, looking at with our ETF, the XLF. Looking at USO oil, we see that pulling back further and further. Certainly a downtrending market as we see the 200-day below the 50, below the 30. As that is our definition of a downtrending market. Sitting very near support. Could we see gas below $3? Is it possible? How much control do they exercise? All right. For those of you that are gold members, stick around. We'll go to our stocks to watch. For those of you that are not gold members, would like other free videos from Options University, there will be a website for you to look at the end of this video. So gold members, stick around. And to the rest of you, thank you for watching Market Forecast. This is Butch Shorak here every Monday morning from Options University. Today is Monday, November 11th, 2013. And to all of our veterans out there, Options University sends out a big thank you, making all of this possible.